Hey, this is William Tincup and Ryan Leary. This is the BARF. It's April 7th, Sunday. Hopefully, we can prepare you for next week by looking back at this previous week on news and acquisitions and research and funding and all kinds of fun stuff. We've got a lot of great stories to pitch each other. If you're not familiar with the show, basically, Ryan and I pitch each other kind of things that we saw this week. So during the week, we kind of keep track of stuff that we see think's pretty cool and all work related, or we'll tie it back to what we think is work related. We do a little bit of editorial, and then we also try to give you the links to where these things are so that you can go and do your own research and come to your own conclusions as well. So
translation is we find things that we feel are interesting
that's right.
and
That's right.
try to make it useful for work.
100%. 100%. I think that's, yeah. We should just drop that in ChatGPT and see if they can shorten that down to like 4 words.
See what it says. So a funny story real quick. I know you always mention John Oliver with this, right? It's our John
Yes.
Oliver show. I've seen him a few times here and there.
Right.
But I saw I guess he did a show on gig workers. Part of his thing was on gig workers, and somebody had brought up and said, "You need to listen to this," because they were arguing that DoorDash is bad, all this stuff. He uses a laugh track.
Yeah. I think he does that. I believe that's out of sarcasm.
It annoyed the hell out of me. It really did.
If you go back to any of the shows from the 80s, they all have laugh tracks.
But it's 2023,
I know,
2024.
I think it's ironic. Maybe that's the bit. It's not maybe not sarcasm. Maybe it's more on irony.
I couldn't get through it. All I could hear is ha 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 ha. Hold on, actually, I think we have one here. Yeah, it's basically what it sounded like.
Dude,
so anyway, he was talking about DoorDash and how it's bad for restaurants, and I fully disagree with this. I don't know if you do not. Right? I mean, because they have to pay a fee. Well, everyone has to pay a fee. It's a software. You got to support it and pay for it and all that.
Turns out,
anyway,
if you don't want to leave your house but you want that food, that's not hurting anybody.
I've ordered from a number of restaurants that I would never have gone to.
Right.
Ever. So if they're getting 75% of my order value to the restaurant, that's 75% more than they would have ever got.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I would, one, have never heard of them if it didn't show up in the app. And two, I'm probably not driving 10 miles to go get it.
Yeah. Yeah. This is true of like specialty restaurants. Like there's a great Lebanese restaurant close to us. And I was there when I was in high school. It's called The Prince. And it's Lebanese food. I've driven past this place thousands of times. And Michael, my wife ordered from it and she loves it. So, it's like, again, to your point, some of I think the specialty restaurants in particular, they get an uptick in business from people that would have never cared or found anything, gotten those customers. So, yeah, I think that's just a dumb take, but that's okay. Not all takes are great.
All right. I got a story. I want to kick off here.
Do it.
So I don't really have a thought here, so I'll leave it to you to give a thought.
Sure.
I've got some thoughts, but I'll leave it to you. Transgender Chick-fil-A workers' sexual harassment case may go to trial. I got two for this. And Yee is once again accused of racial discrimination and anti-Semitism. So this whole thing with Chick-fil-A. So we've done Subway, we've done who are the other ones? The last couple of weeks.
A lot of hourly
stealing tips and stealing tips and sexual harassment and all of this stuff. Anyway, the franchise owner has unsuccessfully argued that the worker couldn't be subjected to sexual harassment by her coworkers because she is heterosexual.
Yeah, that's a weak argument.
Yeah, so I need to leave this to you because I just think it's asinine, number one. The fact that it may go to trial because of this.
It should go to trial. I
It
mean, again,
absolutely
it's
should.
if there's something trial worthy, let's make sure we say that. If you go to McDonald's and coffee spills on you, coffee's hot, turns out. So like, don't
Yeah.
not everything should end up
Well,
in the
no,
legal
that
system.
case actually did go
I know, I
a
know, I
long.
know,
Remember
I
that a
know,
long
I
time
know.
ago.
Then they had to put on lids. Coffee is hot. I'm like, this is just a fucking dumbing
Is
of America. It's like, if you don't know that coffee's hot, you
eh,
probably shouldn't live.
you deserve to
I'm
get
gonna
burnt.
go. I'm gonna. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyhow, I think with transgender in particular, I think first of all, harassment's harassment,
harassment's
and
harassment.
we should have zero tolerance for that in the workplace. And if this was sexual harassment, even more egregious, if you will. And it
Yeah,
doesn't matter what her gender is or his or whatever the gender
harassment's
is.
harassment.
They, them,
Yeah, so
doesn't matter.
so the definition of workplace harassment. I'm going to read this because it's pretty clear. Workplace harassment occurs when there is unwelcome conduct based on race,
Yeah,
color, religion, sex, including sexual orientation, gender
right.
identity, or pregnancy, national origin,
Yep.
older age, disability, or genetic information, according to the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission.
EEOC. Yep.
Yeah,
Straight up. Been that way for, I mean, they've added some things to it, but it's been that way for as long as I can remember, actually.
is what it is. And yeah, I don't know what's going on with Diddy, but he's back in the news. So those guys taking over the news again.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with work. Well, I guess technically it could,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. It's technically work. I mean,
yeah,
sex work.
yeah. That is
So
true. That
somebody's
is
working.
true. That is
My
true.
bad. Anyhow, it's a horrible
Yeah,
story, and hopefully it doesn't end up being you know, more like Jeffrey Epstein than not. So,
right.
Employ, which the audience would know as a lot of different companies. So,
Yeah,
Jobvite, Lever, Jazz HR. Um, they have a brand new CEO. Steve Cox is
yep.
just brought in. Been brought in. He's got 25 years of experience. Not only a new CEO, but once you dig into it, they brought in. They have a new board chairman. So what I think this is K1 is which is the P firm that's behind Employ is cleaning up all the acquisitions,
Right.
and it might take a year or two for them to kind of get things together. But I think this is a really good sign.
Yeah.
Bring in a new
This.
CEO. They don't have any of the baggage of like Pete was the CEO of Jazz HR.
Right.
So, and great guy. I mean, you and I talked to him in
Hmm.
January. Just a wonderful person. But now you take somebody from the outside who's got seasoned experience, maybe not doesn't know the market as much. Who cares?
Yeah.
Now they can look at things in an objective way and go prune that, add this, don't do that. So I think it's going to be a good thing. I don't know if we're going to see it right away, but I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And they did acquisition a couple years now. Those are a
Yeah.
couple years, and yeah, they've been running, and time to clean it up. So, I've got an OSHA story.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if you saw this, but OSHA. So the walker, it's called the walk around rule.
Yep.
So this is essentially it's the classic case of workplace retaliation is what this is helping to prevent, right? So
Right.
this sucks at work. Okay, you're not getting promoted, right?
Right.
You give a tip, you blow the whistle, you get smacked somehow, some way, or at least the fear of retaliation, right? So I think this is what this is. This is a classic case of workplace retaliation and helping to prevent that on job sites. And so we just spoke with what's his name? We haven't released the episode yet.
Your story.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can't remember. So anyway, we spoke
This will
to a
definitely be
gentleman.
edited out.
No, I'll leave it. I'll leave it in. I'll leave it in.
Okay.
I'll leave it
All
in.
right.
No,
Sure.
we were speaking about workplace safety, right? So anyhow, this is they're now employees. You're making me crazy here. So employees are allowed to bring third parties, have a third party present during walkarounds for
Oh,
safety
interesting.
walkarounds,
Okay.
right? And so now they have a way one to have a third party present, third party safety person present to see what's going on in the workplace, and this is any workplace, but my example is, and I see this a lot in construction, but also a way to anonymously leave that tip, which exists in a lot of companies today, but this now formalizes that process to help prevent.
I like that.
Yeah, to help prevent the retaliation.
Anything that prevents retaliation, good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
All right. Indeed launches AI-powered product called Smart Sourcing, designed to make hiring faster. This can be found on cxotoday.com, or it can be found in many places. So think of candidates as perishable goods. Smart sourcing is kind of what it does is it actually helps both the candidates and the recruiters and their frustration levels. To be quite honest, things are slow, etc. Matches aren't great. Anyhow, we've tested it out. It's fast. It's accurate. Great move for Indeed, and great move for those two groups of people.
Yeah, what I like about this play here is a lot of people lump Indeed as like the old guy, right?
Right.
They've been around forever,
Right.
and they do a lot of innovative stuff that they don't necessarily come out and say, "Hey, look at what we're doing." And this is one of those things where this gets us out of keyword matching.
Right.
Right. So we talked about this previously where there's a large subset of recruiting that enters keyword wants results.
Right.
This now there are other tools out here that do things like this. This just happens to be smart sourcing through Indeed, which I think it was fantastic just seeing what we saw.
Sitting on 300 million plus profiles.
That's a lot of data. Yes,
so that's a lot of data. So you can get a
matching and pulling and learning all of that. Absolutely. I think it's a win. I think it's something to certainly look out for.
All right, you want me? Oh, go ahead.
You got another one? You want to go for another? Go for it.
Yeah, let me go for a couple of them. All right. So this is a
that
first of all,
you don't want to hear my voice.
No.
Let me just go for a couple.
Yeah. I'll just kind of read my entire sheet. So this is a word that I wasn't familiar with. Femtech, not Femtech. So the article is on Crunchbase, and it's the next frontier of Femtech, which focuses on women's health and wellness. And then I started kind of like, well, what's the population of women in America? It's 50.51. So let's just say 50, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can round it up to 51 if you want. So why I think this is important for us to think about is we're going to start seeing more wellness programs designed by women for women, which I think is really, really cool. And so Femtech, get familiar with the term, and also start to look for those plays that are going to be coming to you in the form of wellness.
Yeah, this is interesting. I like, so younger Ryan would say, why can't it just be wellness? Right?
Yeah.
So
turns out.
Yeah. Older, experienced Ryan says, I'm okay with different groups of people.
100%.
And now that I think it's okay. Like, I get that, right? It's accepted now. Different groups, it's okay for different groups of people to have different programs to help better that particular class or group of people.
100%.
And it's something that younger me, like I said, I mean, I was kind of like, well, why? Why do women need this, or why do Jews need this, or why do whites need this, or blacks need this?
So I'll give you two examples that we both of us probably at 18 wouldn't have even considered. Women are disproportionately impacted by insurance. Like their insurance costs more, which again is arguable as to why. But also the female biology is more complex than the male biology.
Right.
So, I mean, these are just facts. So, like, I think when you think of Femtech, that, again, female founders creating technology for female customers, I just think it's a good thing. I think it helps everybody in the workforce.
No, absolutely. All right. ChatGPT. Yeah. I know it's overplayed at this point, but
No.
ChatGPT, so use is up, okay?
Yep.
And essentially for those that are under the age of 30. So this is part of this is some of my AI assistant. Everyone's going to have an AI assistant theory that I bring up, kind of like my 4-day work week that we're never going
Right.
to do. I think this supports that. And so I like the story. So on the surface, okay, this is just another goofy, cheesy ChatGPT, buzzword-worthy story, right? Like, hey, we're using ChatGPT. But what's happening here is that and I'll drop the link in. I forgot where I found this. It's one of these stories, HR Dive maybe. Anyhow, 31% of those that are between 18 and 29 years old said that they've used ChatGPT in the last month,
Yeah, in the
in
last 30
work
days.
for work-related tasks to help them complete a work-related task. So I think we talk about this all the time. And I know sometimes stories can be stretched to fit certain things, but I think this is really starting to show, and we know this, but I think it's starting to show that the workplace is fundamentally changing
Yeah.
because as the age of the employee gets higher, the use of technology and the use of AI assisted technology drops significantly into the
Right.
teens. And so I think what this is showing us is that the workplace is changing, the technology in the workplace is changing, and you're going to have to jump on this wagon here to support your employees, especially your younger employees that are now growing up in your company.
I'll say something relatively bold. If you're not using
Should I hit the bleep button?
ChatGPT for work, no. If you're not using it for work right now, you should probably be fired. Like
Or a form of Gen AI, I should say, like something.
again, if you're not using already, you're already dated.
Yeah. Hmm.
So you're already used. There's an inefficiency to your time. Like when your boss asks you, "Hey, that meeting was great. Can you summarize that for me?" If you're not throwing that into ChatGPT, kicking
Hmm.
it out, sending it to him, then you should be fired. Period. End of story. Like not all salmon make it up the river.
Yeah, how far in the way? We're about 20 minutes in. Okay, so I can tell this story because I know my wife won't listen this far if she listens at all.
I
So
like. That's a great start.
swim team board. We sit on the swim team board, right?
Right.
We have board meetings. She's the secretary and has the notes.
Right.
She sits there and reads the notes
Oh.
and summarizes the notes and does the
Oh.
notes and then types them in. So, like, will you give me the goddamn notes? Stick them in. Like, we use
God.
Zoom. We're on Zoom for the call, right? So use a
Yeah.
Zoom AI, use Fathom or Firefly, something. Stop spending 3 hours, literally three
Yeah.
hours, going through the notes and trying to remember this and just use the system. Use the
Yeah.
tech to get it
Okay.
done.
Done.
I don't know. All right. I'm jumping ahead, but I've got an acquisition
Okay.
to run through. So CareerArc acquires a recruitment video platform, Lumina.
Yep.
So not to be confused with Lumina, my
Right.
webcam
Right.
technology,
Right.
but Lumina, the video company. So I love the people at CareerArc. I love when companies acquire other companies or integrate other companies and tech into their current tech to make it better. I'm not sure on this. I think it's going to be good
Ooh.
for them. Let me just. It's going to be good. Yes,
Okay.
said, stated, done, all that good stuff.
Right.
But why just now? Video. I don't think video, and I know I'll get hate for this. I don't think video is the now like it was in 2015.
I'm going to disagree with you. The acquisition gets you customers of Lumina. They're
All of
bringing
that is
over
good. Yes,
they're bringing over the CEO from Lumina to run CareerArc.
correct.
Ding.
Yep.
So talent. B or subpart C is CareerArc is pretty well known, is social recruiting, but they're not
Yes.
known for video recruiting. And what this does is it opens them up and their customers up to do recruiting via video, YouTube Shorts,
Yeah.
Instagram Reels, TikTok, etc. So it adds a couple more arrows to the quiver. Great
Yes.
acquisition.
So yes to all of that,
Yeah.
and I agree. But what's next? Why? I feel like video is just
They're not thinking about what's next. They're thinking about what can they do to expand the footprint in their customer base right now.
right.
And
Right.
they didn't grow up through the lens of video. They grew up with Twitter and Facebook, LinkedIn,
Right.
kind of the usual
That was their
suspects.
thing. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
No. All right. 2 news stories. Let me pitch you on economic cost of the Baltimore Bridge collapse. How many jobs do you think were impacted by that bridge?
Impacted how? Like not being able to get to work and things like that?
Yep. All those things.
I'm gonna say 30,000.
It'd be 140,000 jobs that were impacted. One bridge,
140,000.
140,000 jobs. So 140,000 jobs, it impacted those folks. You can find this on brookings.edu, and you can kind of get into the entire thing and how they justify their math. But it really made me think about when disasters happen, how often do we think of the impacts of jobs lost? Like we think about,
Yeah.
the houses and the buildings and the stuff like that, but I don't know if I've ever thought about when a hurricane hits, like Hurricane Harvey hit Galveston and Houston. I don't think at any point during that I think of, I wonder how many jobs it's going to impact. So I think what I want for the audience, I want you to think about, it's an El Nino year. We're about to start hurricane season.
Yep.
Start thinking about those things and just add that to how you think about them. And so that's the bit. Just think about how they did it with Baltimore Bridge. Great, fantastic. That wasn't a natural disaster, as we all know.
Right.
But disasters happen. Now let's start thinking about not just the economic impact, but the jobs impact. So
yeah, that's interesting. 140,000.
140K. That's a lot
That
of
is
people.
a lot. Yeah,
That's
it's a
a lot of
lot of
people.
travel, a lot of people moving on that bridge. Yeah,
Yep.
no, absolutely.
All right.
The different story, but similar, sort of. The on the economy, the direct path of the eclipse. Did you see the
It's over.
economic?
Yes, I didn't see the numbers, but it goes over us. It goes over Dallas.
Okay, yeah, so it's close. Well, I think we're gonna get like 90%.
So we don't have to travel to see it.
No, it's a little over $1 billion in economic value between, all those in that area. Things, restaurants selling, rentals, all of that stuff. Airbnb is completely sold out the entire stretch.
Yeah. So I'll get a little hate mail on this. I don't really care about eclipses.
Yeah,
I mean, my sons, they're going to go to school. They're going to go outside. They've already had
yeah,
guest speakers talking about this shit. I don't.
yeah.
An
It doesn't
eclipse
excite
happens
me.
every year and a half to 2 years somewhere in the world.
Right,
Not necessarily in Dallas, Texas, or on that path, whatever.
right,
So, like,
right.
I get that bit, but I don't give a shit. Like, I just
Yeah,
don't care about the eclipse. Like, okay, it happens. Yeah,
doesn't
and
excite me.
it
Yeah,
does.
it
Just like
doesn't
watching
excite
paint
me.
dry. I mean, I've done this
Yeah.
bit before. I remember when I did it when I was younger. I'm like, okay, the moon, and
Yeah, yeah.
then
Well, the last one was a couple years ago. We're out there
yeah,
with the glasses, and we're like, it's almost there,
yeah. It's
and we're just,
1.5 minutes that I'd rather have back in my life.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Uh,
all right, let me give you
anyway,
another news story real quick. So, over 500,000 fast food workers in California just got a huge raise thanks to a new law that went into effect April 1st, and that is $20 minimum wage.
what?
Yeah,
$20 minimum
that's right,
wage,
baby.
and
Look,
where is this at?
hey, California,
So they're still homeless.
pretty much. Pretty much. Unless you're living inward, like Sacramento, that might work for you. But no, you're anywhere on
Getting
the
the
coast. But
buzz.
like when I read the story, first of all, you can find that on Yahoo Finance or finance.yahoo.com. And what I thought about is I'm like, okay, how soon does this hit pricing? So this is a cost. Cost just went up, right? Great, check. We
Hmm.
all get that. But how soon does the price of the burger goes up, or the ice cream, or whatever you're
Yeah.
getting? They're going to have to recoup their costs. It's not like they're going to
Yeah.
keep their costs the same.
No,
So,
and how
it,
willing is somebody to pay
100%.
50 cents more for a burger? I'm not.
Which
I'm
which
not gonna
made me
lie.
think of that Pulp Fiction bit where John Travolta is a $5 shake, which today doesn't seem like anything, but in '94 it was a
I
big thing.
wish.
So, and it's like it's a $5 shake, and he's like, $5 shake, that's crazy. And he tastes it, and he's like, it's a pretty good shake.
Oh.
We're gonna get like $20 hamburgers in California.
Yeah,
So
that's
anyhow,
the
this
price of
is
food changes how good it is. I gotta say that.
yeah,
Like, I can have a $30 steak somewhere and it's delicious. Then I go somewhere and it's $80. I'm like, not so good
better
because I
be
paid
Wagyu.
eighty
Yeah,
dollars. I
yeah.
paid $80. I don't care how good it. I mean, it changes my thought.
See, I don't look at prices, so I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I order what I want, and I just don't think about the price.
Then the
It's like,
bill comes and you're washing dishes. Yeah, it's all
well,
good.
no, no. Then again, I don't pay for a lot of stuff, so maybe that's why I don't do that. All right, let me.
Ah,
I got two acquisitions I'll go through really quickly,
all right.
since that you already did the CareerArc one. This is ESOP, EASOP, acquired
Equities,
by
yeah. Uh-huh. Yep.
Remote.
Yep. Love it.
Um, so basically, think of compensation SAP for ESOP, and Remote. Think of them as what this is going to do is facilitate equity management for international employees. So we've talked
Hmm.
about Remote before, talked about event funding and
Yeah.
the things that they do. They help people all over the world be able to get paid. So there's that.
Yeah.
Now they can actually, with compensation software, they can do more than just pay. They can actually facilitate stock options and things like that.
Right.
So great. I mean, I look at that and I'm like, you know what? They could have built it. Why build it? Just go
It's
buy it.
yeah.
And so good for them and their customers.
Hmm.
Second acquisition, ITA Group acquires CoolLeaf to form industry-leading employment engagement solutions. So you can find this at ITA Group. It's on their site, so it's press release,
Hmm.
itagroup.com. So when you think of ITA Group, think employee engagement. And when you think CoolLeaf, think rewards and recognition. So these things usually are separated.
Hmm.
And what they've done with this acquisition is brought those things together. And I think that this is going to be really good for their customers, because what they're trying to do is reduce turnover and improve productivity. Now you've got it one place. So you remember last year we talked about how practitioners want less tech.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a great example of that bit. Okay, now if they're already an ITA Group customer, now they can do their rewards and recognition inside the same interface.
Yeah.
So great acquisition.
Love it. Love it.
All right.
All right. So
You got any other acquisitions, or are we on to the R?
no, I've got another. I want to talk about UPS real quick.
Okay, tell me about
The
the ups.
the Ups company.
What do we got?
The Ups company. All right. So they are having their largest layoff in their entire 116-year
Wow.
existence.
Okay.
Um, so this is interesting to me because we're not just talking layoffs here. So over the last, I guess it was 30, whatever it was, 4,000 people lost their jobs directly related
Right.
to the adoption of AI in the workplace.
Really? Huh.
Excuse me, I'm dying here. I need some water. So UPS is going through a layoff, and they are
Right.
stating directly it's directly because of their adoption of
Oh
new
man, they should.
technology, AI
Mm,
in the workforce. Now, sound the
It's
alarms,
a
all
bad
of that.
look.
Yeah, bad look, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, you can get into the argument. I've seen debates or arguments in on Ford brought in the machines and they still have. I get it, right? Like you innovate, you need to scale up. I get it. Okay, so what I really liked about this in the same article, it gave examples of companies like IBM and
Right.
Intel, who together, different numbers of course, but together they've pledged about 30 million people before 2030 to skill the people
Right.
in AI, how to
Right.
work with AI, how to use AI in the job. So not their obviously their employees, but not just their employees, actually in the workforce, just upskilling people on
Right.
how to work and leverage with AI. So anyhow, so it's estimated that over the next 10 years, roughly 95 million people will
Right.
go through some
That's
form of
good.
AI upskilling in the
If you
workforce.
don't do it on your own and you're expecting the business to do it for you,
Right.
it's all about literacy. It's all
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
having some form of literacy. And again, getting back to the story you brought up earlier about ChatGPT, if you're not using it, you should be fired. If you're not
Well, exactly.
increasing your literacy about
Your
AI
fault.
and Gen AI, that's homie, that's on you.
Yeah. No, absolutely is, and
I'm
I
glad that
like that these
companies are
large.
tackling it. Yeah,
Yeah, I love that these larger companies are stepping in and saying like, hey, look, we're basically what they're saying, and it's a smart move. What they're saying is, okay, we're building this crap. Like
yeah,
we're gonna be power. Like our companies run.
Watson.
We're the ones
Yeah,
behind this, right? We also need you to work for us, so we're just gonna go and get you skilled up.
yeah, I like that. All
Yeah.
right, I got three research, three R's for you, and I'm gonna go through them really quickly. Work Tech, which is our friend George LaRock,
Hmm.
just did a Q1 report on the amount of funding that was in just those 3 months, and it was over $1 billion.
Ooh,
Now, yeah, so you can go to oneworktech.com and then you can sign in and get the report and all that stuff.
nobody gave
The,
us money.
no, the key is for as you listen to this, the key is follow the money. That's why investments, that's why we talk so much about funding and acquisitions and things like that, because as a practitioner, you might not care, but you should care because where people are making investments, it'll end up impacting you.
Right.
Maybe months, maybe years, but it's a leading indicator. So that's that. You got any commentary on that? Are we good?
No, that's a lot of money. I'm gonna have to go look at it and
That's a
follow the
billion,
money
baby.
and see where it's at. Yeah.
So second thing, this is from livecareer.com. This is a report, Fears and Remote Work. At first, when I read it, I thought fear of remote work. No, it's fears and remote work. 4,000 respondents. So pretty good size of data
Yeah.
pool. Let me read you 2 points from it. 43% of workers say that they're more afraid of working in an office full time than losing their romantic relationship or getting divorced.
Wait, hold on. Rewind that.
So
They have a fear
43%. Yeah,
of working in an
yeah.
office. I
Dude,
have a
I
fear of waking up, but I don't sleep all goddamn day.
43% of workers say they are more afraid of working in an office full time than losing a romantic relationship or getting divorced. So either they have shitty relationships and they just
Don't
they don't
care.
they don't care, or this is a legit 43%, man. That's a big number out of
How
4,000.
do you fear working in an office?
Dude, either
Are you
I don't
sure
know.
you read the title right?
I swear to God, I had to go back and read it like 5 times because yes, it's at livecareer.com. Fantastic. Go look at because they have other ones too. I'll read the next one because I just think it's funny. 53% fear the prospect of full-time office work more than climate change.
Wait,
So
this
this is
is a
back to
separate report?
no, this is back to a live career. This is I
Oh,
was
okay,
going to
okay.
give 2 data points. So people care about climate change. Check. That 53% People fear more of full-time office work than they do climate change.
Huh.
Right?
Hmm.
So let that, again, go and download the report. The reason we do this is to find these things so that you can go and do your own analysis. But we want you to go and do this. Now, Ryan, this is the next story. So hit the button.
I'm still trying. My head still hurts from the last one.
So if I were to say cyber loafing, what would you say?
Yeah, that's what I would probably
You
would
got
say.
nothing?
I
All
got
right.
nothing.
So ScienceDirect.com has a report. It's actually a study. It's an academic study. The effects of sanctions and stigmas on cyber loafing. So this is basically hybrid, remote, or at work. So they don't bifurcate, but they do bifurcate in terms of the things you do online. Viewing pornography, managing finances, and shopping at work were rated as abusive. Emailing and social networking at work were rated as non-abusive. So again, like what you do when it's work, again, whether or not you're remote, hybrid, or at the office, great. The study, you're not doing work, so you're doing something else on your phone, on your device, whatever. You're cyber loafing. I gotta say that word more times than
Cyber
once.
loafing.
You are cyber loafing.
I feel like this is the
Shame.
section where we build T-shirts. We create T-shirts and sell them.
Are you a cyber loafer? Great. So the thing is the study itself then bifurcates all the different things that you could do to cyberloaf and then makes the determination of which ones are more egregious than the others, which I find fascinating. But go look at the study, and I think we're going to hear cyberloafing more often.
Well, we will now.
Yeah.
I just want to get into your browser search bar. And I want to see how you're finding this stuff. I don't know that I actually want to.
No, you don't, dude. Seriously, don't ask. You don't want to see how
Yeah.
the sausage is made. That's
All
bad.
right. So I was reading this thing the other day on employment law, which is certainly not my favorite thing to read.
It's becoming. You're
It
starting to become an expert here.
it's becoming interesting. Yeah, the more I read, the more I'm like, oh, what have I been missing all my life? It's like reading Harry Potter, which I never read. So, all right. Did you know this? Well, you're gonna say yes. So I'll just say yes, you do.
Yeah,
88% of disputes are considered settled before a trial is needed in the workplace.
Oh, 100%. Shit, I'm shocked that number is not higher.
Yeah. So
companies don't want that shit to see the light of day.
right. So this is kind of like companies saying, you know what? We know you're full of shit, but
yeah, we'll write a $2 million check.
We're just going to get rid of this. Right. That's exactly what's happening.
Think of the math that's being done behind that. So $2 million in customer retention or the lack of acquisition, etc., morale, like all of that stuff. Or, Billy gets a $2 million check and it gets an NDA and it's gone.
Yeah.
So I think that 12% on that 88 is the ones where they think, A, it's not going to damage us, B, we can win the case.
Right, and it's just let's go and get it done. So in this report, there are 10. I'm not going to go through all 10, but there are 10 trends that came out on top in this survey to watch. The top 4, which I think are pretty common sense to us: discrimination and harassment.
Yeah, shocking.
Pay issues. Okay, so pay equity trends, wage, hourly disputes, wage for hourly wage, employee classifications. That was interesting for me. So 37% said that employee classifications were likely to bring litigation risk. And so this is specifically tied to gig workers and freelancers. How do we classify them in the employee population? And then disability accommodations, which I thought would be higher. I thought that would be a little higher.
We haven't even tackled neurodivergent accommodations.
They didn't specifically call that out in there.
That
they're
number
probably
will
lumping
hit the
that
list.
Yeah.
They might throw it under disability, but that's incorrectly placed. But yeah, that tracks for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got 7 funding. This has been a heavy week in funding. 7 funding sources. Do you have
Yeah,
some in funding?
I do. I have a couple funding. Yeah.
Okay. You want me to
Um,
rattle through a couple? And
yeah, I'll
you?
tell you, why don't you just rattle through because you probably got the same, and
Mm.
I'll give you my love on them.
All right. Homebase raises 60 million. Series D to fuel innovation. You can find out on Piro Newswire. So they already currently have over 100,000 small businesses, and the software helps them manage their hourly team. And you and I don't see a lot of tech that's
Right.
targeted directly at the SMB level. So I love that. I think it's good for them and their customers, good
Mm-hmm.
for Homebase. It's hard to raise money, but yeah, that's the bit.
Yep.
All right. Sesco, SESO, Seso, inks $20 million to address U.S. farm labor shortages. This was at impactalpha.com, so you can go find it there. And when I read that, I thought to myself, when was the last time I thought about farm labor or farm talent,
Hmm.
right? So when was the last
Well,
time, or
I
ever?
did when I started to do my taxes because it asked about non-farm wage, but that was it.
Other than that, right?
Other
But
than that,
but think
nothing.
about, like, right now we're in kind of a anti-immigration kind of a
Yeah.
climate. What
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care about your politics, but it's one of those deals.
Yeah.
Okay, someone's got to pick the fucking tomatoes,
Yeah.
right? So this is why I think that this is so fascinating. This is a company that's actually trying to fix that and help bring talent to that particular market. So good for them. All right. This one goes Modal, Modal,
Yep.
raises 25 million to train corporate workers on data and AI. This is the story that you talked about
Yep.
of, like, literacy. And this is at TechCrunch, so you can just go look up Modal on TechCrunch. But what's fascinating is it's learning plus data, or learning about data, it equals literacy. What I found the most fascinating about this is the 2 co-founders were ex-Udemy executives, the president and the CEO. So the president and the CEO went off, and now they created Modal to train people on data and AI. And so they
Interesting.
know how to do learning. Like,
Yeah.
that's done. Now it's just a
That's
matter
their
of,
field.
that's their field. That's what they're good at. So keep an eye on that, because as a company, you might want to look at some of the content for your own, you know,
Yeah.
you might want to look at that for your own, LMS or whatever, to then start pushing that into, like we said earlier in the program, increase literacy.
Yeah.
It increase literacy in particular. So why don't you go and give
Yeah.
us a couple yourself?
Well, modal was one of them.
Damn it.
Yep. That's okay.
Did you have any different takes on it though?
No, it's so I didn't go too far into it. I mean, everything that you said, yes. And I I couldn't help but think money follows money. That
Yeah,
was kind of like where I was. I'm
fair.
like, yeah, I'm like, well, and it's yeah. No, but no, that's all I got. I mean, everything you said is there, but I'll let you keep going, and
All
I'm
right.
gonna hit buttons.
All right, sounds good. Team building platform Confetti raises
Hmm.
16 million, trusted by Apple, Google, Microsoft, large company. Where I found this was globalvillagespace.com. And think of
Hmm.
Confetti as a platform that enables companies to do virtual team building experiences, virtual games, interactive games, activities like baking and cocktail making. Like, you can go back to the pandemic and think of all that stuff that people did. Confetti does it all, like soup to nuts. And so they manage the entire process, all the way supplies, the whole bit.
Hmm.
So they got some money. And I thought of Julie, the cruise director from Love Boat, on steroids. So again, large companies. I mean, they pretty much say that in the release. Apple, Google, Microsoft. These aren't small companies.
Right.
But they need to engage their workers in a different way. They need to engage their talent. They hire confetti, and then they basically pick through the different things that they'd like to do for their employees, or do they let the employees drive it? I think it's
Right.
great. I didn't even know the company existed,
Hmm.
so I think it's great. It's classified as a team building platform.
Right.
I didn't even know confetti existed, and so I'm happy for them and their customers, and I think it's just a cool play. I got three more to go. Do you have any?
No, I'm out with funding. You're all
Okay.
funding today. You
Well,
take
it's just a
all the
lot of
funding.
funding this week. A lot of funding this week. Pigment, and you read that right. Pigment raised $145
$1 million.
million. One
I'm just
four
assuming.
five. 145
Yeah.
million to help businesses build strategic plans. I
Yeah.
found this on Bulletin SF. That's the Made in San Francisco site. So if you ever go there, all they do is talk about San Francisco. But Pigment, here's what their game is to basically use AI to intuitively and intelligently build and adapt strategic plans. So
Right.
strategic plans usually are very, well, not archaic, but they're static. So you build
It's a
it.
Google Doc. Yeah.
It's a Google Doc, right? This is going to be, with the use of AI, real time strategic planning. So as one thing over here changes, this thing over here changes.
Oh, it's
So
interesting.
that's just fascinating. Now, what I thought about it as I read the article, I'm like, how soon before that tackles workforce planning?
Right.
Because workforce planning has never been done well. And so if you've now got AI in your strategic plan,
Yeah.
it goes to think that you're going to have it in your talent plan or workforce plan.
At some point, I would assume. Yeah. I don't know if this platform does that,
Right,
but
right, right, right.
at some point, something will. Yeah. You have this change here. This is what happens here.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So
It's really interesting.
$145 million.
Somebody thought
That's
it
a
was
big
cool.
check, baby. That's
Somebody thought it was worth the money.
somebody got a Maserati.
Yeah.
That's what I read. So Italian startup Steps Connect picks up €1 million to find candidates quickly. So you can find this on www.eu-startups.com. And so what I liked about this particular site, because you and I could go build a recruiting application like over
Hmm.
the weekend, and so that's not newsworthy for me. But this one specifically does two things that are interesting to me. Gen Z and millennial, they focus just on that talent. They don't care about any of the other talent that's out there. They're focused on that
Hmm.
talent and vertical fields of hourly, so retail,
Okay.
hospitality, etc. So they're looking at, okay, this talent, these verticals, and they got $1 million in euros, which is probably 1.4. No, that's probably 700,000. But I like the play because they're looking at talent in a way that, instead of generalizing talent and saying, okay, come here and do this,
Right.
we don't really care about your age or any of this other stuff or what industries. They're niche. Like you and I talked about, like the old job boards, like
Hmm.
accounting jobs in Vermont. Like
Right. Right.
the only
Right.
people that are going to care about that are accountants in Vermont.
People. Yeah.
Right. So this is different though, because this is looking at the generational parts of things. So anyhow, take a look at them
Okay.
and see what you think. Steps Connect. Okay, the last one I have on funding, that's our F for the folks listening to the show. Home from College is the name of the company, by the way. Home
Yeah.
from College raises 5.4 million in funding to build Gen Z focused job site and hiring platform. This is on prnewswire.com, so go to prnewswire. And at first glance, first of all, 5 million to basically build a job site and a hiring platform. So something for both the candidates and for corporate. And again, there's a theme in today where it's like meet the talent where they are.
Yeah.
Gen Z searches for jobs differently. They think about jobs differently. So the models, we used to say the containers of yesterday are not the containers of today and will be the containers of tomorrow. So it's fascinating to me. That's $5.4 million. Okay, that's a check. That's a Maserati. Yep, done.
I
But
just I get disinterested when I hear the word job board.
haven't we done this?
Yeah.
Aren't we over this? Yeah,
I mean,
fair
no
enough.
knock on the. I mean, congrats on the funding, and I love to
100%.
see actually what they're doing because it's interesting. But
Yeah.
when I think inherently in my mind, I hear job board. I go to
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
You think of
monster
Monster. Yeah.
career
The
builder.
career
Yeah,
builder.
yeah.
hmm So for me, the title that drew me in was Home from College. So wait a minute. Why are you home from
All right, once you
Wait,
leave, you
wait.
leave.
Yeah, this is I'm
Let's
gonna
be
channel my
clear.
father. Yeah.
Yeah,
In fact, the
yeah.
comic Earthquake has a bit on this where he says, once you turn 18, I go from being your father to your advisor.
I like it. I like that. Yeah,
Right? So
yeah.
it's a great comedic bit because he basically says, when your son or daughter says something, you say, well, what I would advise you to do.
Yeah, what I advise you to do is get the hell out of my house.
So home from college, that freaked me out just there. I read that and I'm like, home from college? Wait a minute,
Yeah,
what are we doing here?
yeah.
Anyhow, I agree with you about job boards, but for 30 years, we predicted the death of the job board. It's still there.
I don't think it's going away, right? The
I,
resume ain't leaving us. The job board ain't leaving. Like it's fundamental, right, to the job.
yeah,
I
yeah.
get it. It'll
You
be
can't kill
done
this
in a
animal.
different way. I don't know what
Yes.
that different way is. It hasn't come around yet. I don't think it's a big deal to even talk about. Honestly, like they're
Yeah.
there, they're there. Post your job, pay your $300, post your job, and get some candidates.
I think they're going to do more video. I haven't dug into it. We'll go look at the platform, but I think they're going to do more video, like TikTok job ads,
Yeah.
like
Oh,
that type of stuff. That makes sense to me. But it's meeting the talent where they are. However you do that, however
that's
you
the
leverage
key.
that. Yeah, that's the key.
That's the key. And make it simple. Please, for the love of God, make it simple to apply. Like just make it simple. All right,
Did we barf?
I
Have we
think we're
barfed?
done, man. Yeah, I think we went through it. We got everything in on time this time. We didn't
Crazy,
go 3.5 hours. Look at that.
crazy.
So
We could have, but
we could have. Yeah,
yeah.
if you're still watching, if you're still
Listening.
listening, please subscribe. Please check us out everywhere online,
Do you feel like
socially.
you're Do you feel like you're begging for money
I
when you do that
am. I
bit?
am. I am. Please.
NPR does this bit like once I don't know how often, and it's their rate they raise money. So it's
Uh-huh.
the
Oh yeah,
day,
yeah, yeah.
it's for a week, and then stop
Hmm.
down, and every commercial is like, all right,
Yeah.
on the campaign,
Yeah. PBS does a whole thing. Yeah. Hmm.
dude. I can't listen. I that week
Yeah.
I don't listen to NPR. I'm
Yeah.
just like,
It's
yeah, I don't
annoying.
care.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I
I'm
want to
not
give
writing
you
you a check.
money, I'll give you money.
Yeah. I'm not
To get
writing you a check.
a mug,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't need a mug. I'm good.
Yeah.
But
For $100, you can get the Susie Orman CD.
exactly. No, no, I'm good, man. But when you do that, subscribe and
Yeah, it's
like,
like what it
share,
feels like. Please subscribe to us.
please.
No, but if you see us out there, at least say hi. Like we're not bad people. We
Come
love you.
on now.
So,
Come on
all
now.
right, we'll see you next time.